on. There should be a go live. Oh, there we go.
Ah, there we go. I think we're live. I think we're recording. All right. Yes, we are. Okay. So welcome to the Habitat demos for the week of this week. And today's March 24th. And we've got a few things up on our board. Let's see. Can somebody remember who wanted to go first? How about that?
I can go first. I have the Builder Scheduler demo.
Sure.
So let me share my screen. Just 1 second. Okay, here we go. So basically, what I'm going to show today is a progression of the work that we've done for the Builder Scheduler. We had a demo last week, and this week's builds on that demo. So a couple of things have been added since last week. One is Postgres. We now persist the data for the Builder Scheduler in a database, and we are also able to build and integrate the global package index, which is a graph of all the packages and the dependencies into the tool. So now Builder Scheduler can essentially start scheduling multiple packages, which is what it was designed to do in the beginning. So you're going to see some of that work today. So it's pretty cool. Okay, the first thing I want to show is and one more thing that was added is migration. We can now migrate packages into the database. So not only do we have the Postgres, but we can migrate existing packages. The way that's happened is through on-disk archives. I'm not going to show that part of it because it takes a while. But just to show you, the first thing I'm going to show, internal dev tool that is going to connect to this Builder Scheduler database. And we'll be able to do a few things here. So the first thing we do is, what I'm going to do is, the scenario is going to be, we're going to, like, let's say you changed Hab Studio, right? We do that often, and you've committed to your repo, and now we want to kick off a build of Hab Studio and everything that depends on Hab Studio. So let's take a quick look at, well, first thing to notice is our graph has already 3,460 nodes and 11,000 edges. So it's a pretty big graph, but it's loading fairly fast, 0.05 seconds essentially. So let's take a look at quickly finding Hab Studio. Here we see there's a whole number of versions for Hab Studio that are out there, and this is a little bit out of date because it's snapshotted from our acceptance environment about a month or so ago. So there's a new function here. It's called resolve. I'm going to resolve core Hab Studio, and that'll basically tell us what's the latest version, because when we're rebuilding, we only care about the latest version. So that's the one. And now I'm going to just take a quick look at what are the reverse dependencies here. And we can see already that, Hab Studio, there's Builder Worker, Package ACI, and Dockerize that depend on Hab Studio. So those are the reverse dependencies. Okay, so now we know that. And let's basically go kick off a build for Hab Studio. And the way we'll do this is exactly how I showed last week. We'll do it through the Depot API. And up here on the top of the screen is the output from the build services, and that's what I'll show as the build progresses. But here, let's do a quick post here. You can see I'm posting to the Depot API, and I'm saying schedule Hab Studio, schedule a build for Hab Studio. So let's do that. Okay, a whole bunch of things happened up here, and you can see we got this message that was received, group create, and now you can see it's added to the build thing, not just Hab Studio, but also these dependent packages. So that's the first. We haven't been able to do that earlier, but now we can. And the next thing that happens is essentially it's going to dispatch the first part, which is Hab Studio, and the job gets created down here, and then it's basically the job status is dispatched, and now we had a little bit of a snafu. That first job did fail. That happens sometimes. It's unrelated. I'm going to kick it off again. That part's still a work in progress. So we'll try it again and see what happens. We're still kind of seeing this. Again, I don't know if there's secret key error. Let's try one more time. I think I did have that there, but I'm still getting this. So what's happening is that the worker does get the message, but it's unauthorized at the moment to retrieve the keys. So let's do this. Let's move on to the next demo. I'm going to troubleshoot this, and I'm going to come back and finish the demo. Does that work?
Yeah, that should be okay.
Okay. I think I know what I need to do, but I'm going to test it out. So let's unshare here. Okay. Go ahead, whoever's sharing next, and I'll work on troubleshooting this a little bit more.
Matt, were you ready? If not, I can go, but I figure it's somewhat in the related territory.
Yeah, I might need more time or might have to bow. I'm still waiting for make builder run to finish. So.
Okay, I kind of know what that's like. Okay, I can do my stuff here. I got to remember how to, it's probably that green button to share your screen of this stuff. Does that look like a black screen to everybody?
Yes.
To everyone. Okay. Okay. So I've got, I guess, two things. One's just a little bit of a detail I thought would be worth sharing. And then the next one is a little more cool. So the first is support that we kind of added early this week and last week into the supervisor. And this is something we can add into anything else. It's like user tool facing that like a user would download, like software that we don't like host the service actively for, which is the notion of like a feature toggle or a feature flag. We have, so this is a little bit of a peek far down into Rustco, but you can kind of see in, this is in our supervisor, how we have it set up where we've got basically two feature flags. One is kind of always going to be there by default, and then this multi one is what I'm going to show next, is sort of the multi-service supervisor stuff. I'm actually in the process of removing it right now, which is kind of interesting. And then here's just a quick example, sort of in our Rustco. This is how we're sort of using it day to day. So if you've worked in other languages and seen that kind of stuff before, this is sort of how we're doing it. The nice thing with Rust is because under the covers, this particular thing is a constant. So it's something that like the Rust compiler is going to enforce that it's there. If I try to use something that I haven't set up, I get a build warning. So this is basically me in the process of cleaning this up. Is all I did was remove that declared feature thing, and then I just worked through the compiler warnings, showing me everywhere that we've used it in our code base. And once the compiler's happy, we've effectively removed our feature flags. So adding and removing it is actually quite a lot of fun. So that's all I have there. What I'm going to show next here is our, there, I just need that last line to see what window I'm on, is to show our multi-service supervisor. And to do this, I'm basically just going to run 3 Docker containers just to show the supervisors working together. So I'm running just a minimal container that has Habitat, but I'm doing a little bit of a trick here to install the supervisor off of our unstable depot. So that's basically all this crazy command is doing. And let me fire those up. So once we have that, what I'm going to be doing is adding what we're calling service spec files. So if you've started the supervisor before and seen the help and looked into like what's this topology flag for and strategy and depot URL, all these things are kind of related to a particular service. And you can think of each of those options and flags and start having a line that you could add in a TOML file, just a key value, like your ident is this, your topology is that, your update strategy is this, that kind of thing. And that allows us to write kind of more than one thing out to disk so that so the supervisor can sort of pick it up and read it later. This is kind of in the spirit of sort of what Run It and Daemon Tools does. So okay, we've got our containers up, and what I'm going to do is create a couple of these spec files, and then I'll sort of show what they look like. We're going to have, this is a first pass at the feature, and there is a class of use cases here that will be interesting to people if you want to like actively do configuration management around, you know, a host that has a Habitat supervisor to add and remove things. We're going to have some more like interactive and user-facing experience that is still dealing with spec files, but the user is not really aware with that. They're just via commands saying, I want to add this service and remove this service kind of thing. So we have a basically a new directory under /hab. That's this soup one. This is something new coming in that's related to this feature and some other work that Jamie's been working on. You can think of this is Supervisor State. So state and data that's interesting to the supervisor. So whereas we have this service directory for like Redis, so everything to do with the Redis service stuff goes there. Up to this point, we haven't really had any need for the supervisor to keep track of anything. This was one thing that kind of pushed us towards needing a directory like this. And if I cat out one of these, you can see the Redis one. It's pretty simple. It's just got the ident that you would have needed in hab start. That's the only required like line or key value that you'd need to fill in is some identifier. If you don't have it, the supervisor will be friendly and tell you that's a required field, so I'm going to ignore that spec file until you fix it or remove it. And then I basically want Redis to start up in a leader topology. And then we've got another one here, which is another chef project called InSpec that's really good for doing compliance checking and that kind of thing. So this is an InSpec profile that was packaged up as a Habitat package with basically a really simple like execute the job and just sleep. So it's just like a shell script invoking the InSpec tool in a polling loop. So what I'll do here is fire this up, and I'm just copying my start command so that there's a better chance that's going to work. So there is one difference you'll see here is I'm just going to tell the supervisor to start. I'm going to give it like, I'm giving it no topology or information because all that information, again, is service specific, and we've already told the supervisor what we want. I'm just telling the, basically injecting via environment variable some config telling Redis that I don't want it in protected mode, which lets the like TCP sockets talk to each other. And then again, this is the way that today, with the unstable builds, you would get access to this multi service supervisor feature toggle is exporting this environment variable and setting it to true. And so if we start that up, let's see if I full screen this, you'll see it's starting up. It looks like it is loading in the InSpec related service first, so it's doing its the initial install of the software. And there's all the stuff that's going on, and now it's picking up. It's loading in the Redis one and then starting that up. And so that's on top here. So you can see here there's some interleaving stuff now going on because we've got two things going on. So we've got our here's the InSpec one that's starting up. It did its execution. It finished, and now it's basically just in a sleeping loop. So it'll just keep doing its thing. But in the meantime, our Redis service is doing what it's been told. It knows it's in a leader topology, and we need to wait till we have a minimum like 3-member quorum. So it's paused. It hasn't started Redis yet, just like you'd normally see. So there's some kind of neat stuff going on there. And then I will start up our number 2 and 3. So this is the same start mode, but I'm setting a pure flag, telling it to join the first one. So again, the flags that are related to the supervisor, like the gossip port, the HTTP gateway port, the initial peers to join, if you're a permanent peer, all those are still available on HAB, and those are related to the supervisor. So that's why we can use these here as normal. And let me run the last one just so that they fire up at the same time, because it's downloading all the software kind of from scratch. And what we should see when this all loads up again is these last two are also doing the inspecting, off to the side in their own dedicated service. And so there's number 2 coming up with Redis, still waiting on the third, and then we have the third boot, and now we're into the now we're basically into running Redis and inspec at the same time. The last thing I'm going to do is just get the list of these Docker instances and pick one kind of at random. So I'm just logging into this. I don't know which one it is here. Looks like it's one of the, because there's a peer flag, it's one of the, it's either the middle one or the last one. And I am going to add CoreEngineX, and I'm actually going to do this wrong on purpose. So what I should have said is ident equals CoreEngineX because this is TOML. But I did this to myself this morning when I was trying out this demo. And it triggered the some of our hopefully resilience logic that should kick in. So you can see I'm looking there. So the middle one here, I was looking for some motion to see which supervisor is going to pick up. So you see, actually, this is our spec watcher. So that's the SW part. Is it saw that we had a new spec, but it actually couldn't parse it properly because I didn't follow my own instructions, and it's not valid TOML. So what's going to happen is it's going to keep looking for that file, trying to load it, but if it can't load it, it's just going to skip it and move on. So if I was to fix it up and turn that into something ident that looks more like TOML, and write that out to disk, you can see it's pretty peppy. That's another FS event that's that fired. So it picked it up. It was able to parse it in as TOML. And then we've effectively hot started a new service just by adding another spec file. So this is still kind of early days for this particular feature. It seems to be working okay. I would kind of discourage people today to rely on that particular functionality, especially the remove side. There's some work we need to do to take stuff out of the census and to properly shut down services. So removing the file is quite interesting in the way it behaves right now, but it's work that I'm kind of actively working through right now. That's why this isn't released out to the full world, and it's currently behind a feature flag, which we're going to be taking out actually pretty shortly, because it's viable enough right now to kind of get the idea. And I think that is mostly what I've got to show here.
Very neat stuff, Fletcher.
Yeah, thanks. So
Awesome.
So Matt, do you want to give a shot, or Salim, are you? I guess it's up to you both which order.
My environment's still coming up. I'll probably end up just demoing more of the same next week. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm still troubleshooting, but I can share a couple of things here. Let's see. So the build, I won't show the build. Maybe I'll show that next time. But what I want to show is the status. And what's happening here is once we trigger the schedule, you can see that down here you can see the projects, and you can see that you have name and the session, the state for all of the different jobs that are kicked off. And I think I showed part of this last time, but just in case, I can now take one of these IDs, and I can basically get the status of the this group job. Let me just do that, paste it in here. And this basically shows what happened. It shows, well, our root project failed, so the entire thing failed because it won't keep. There's no way to kind of keep going when you don't have the base project built. So that's part of the failure handling that's built in. Next time I'll show this fully functioning. Looks like there's some issue on our acceptance environment that we need to reboot. So yeah, that's it for the demo.
Nice. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff in flight and a lot of stuff starting to come together, which is pretty nice. So yeah, what Salima just showed earlier with the list of the dependent packages made me super excited, because our current implementation, people probably don't want to know what that is. There is some code for it, but it is meant to be replaced as soon as possible, and this is like a much better replacement.
Yep. So essentially what you would have seen is all three of those packages get built, right? And so
Wow.
that reduces a lot of the work to build all these dependencies. And it's core part of what builder service is going to be.
Wow, that's really awesome. All right, I think that's what we have for today. So thanks for watching, and we'll probably see you next week.